This is my fake castle. Why is it fake? Well, let me try to explain to you. It will be a journey through Portuguese castles and a bit of the history of Portugal. I'm not an expert in history, but let's go. Okay, I'm Paul. You are welcome to another small scene. And today I'm going to talk a bit about my castle. Why is it a fake castle? Why I call it a fake? Two reasons. And the first reason has to do with castles themselves. I love castles. I think they are kind of certain magic to them. Castles are a great testimony of our past and a great tribute to the genius of our ancestors who had to struggle to live in the harsh world. Portugal was, as a nation, was created in 1143, so a long time ago, and in the north of country, Guimarães, and so many of the castles we have in Portugal were built in the 12th, 13th century, about, and later of course, but most on that time. Obviously on the north of the country, the northern castles like Guimarães, they were already existed, so they are previous to that date. I think on the 10th century Guimarães Castle was built and others from there. We must take in consideration that before that, or at least in the centuries before, at least until the 3rd century, we have Roman occupation of the territory. I will be showing pictures of all of this. And to the south, after the fall of the Roman Empire, we have Muslim occupation around the 6th, 7th century, and that was then conquered by the Portuguese army to the Muslims. To say that the castles we see nowadays in Portugal, most of them were rebuilt in the 1930s and 1940s. The result of occupation of territory from the 7th century from Muslims, and before that from the Roman Empire 2000 years ago until the 3rd century about. So we have 2000 years of constant occupation of territory, and most of these castles were built over those structures that already existed on those places. So from Roman, even some of them have prehistorical findings in the places where the castles exist, most of them, many of them. I could stay here talking about castles for a while, but I'll try to make this short. I have lots of pictures taken by me and my daughter of our castles. We are not experts on this, of course, but there's a lot of things. There's a lot of history, there's a lot of patrimony, and that's the part of the magic with the castles. I'll show you an example. Well, what I want to say, try not to lose myself on this. So, Portuguese castles as we know them today, and many of those cities, they're a result of more than 1,000 years of occupation, and things were transformed, they will be changed, they suffered changes, they were occupied, they were destroyed, they were rebuilt many times, those structures. So we have structures that have been changed through time, through the centuries, to the shape that we know today. And that is the bit of the essence of the idea of the fake castle. I will show some pictures of places that I have photographed in Portugal, like Ponte de Lima, which is a place in the north, to the north of Guimarães. Then Ponte de Lima, we have a good example. We have a Roman bridge, and then we have the downtown. We have medieval towers and parts of a medieval wall. among the buildings and the houses and the streets. What happened there happened in many other places. Many times castles were built to secure the borders and as a safety. That led that people would settle around the castles, and then walls would be built to house the houses and the buildings of the village. But then the villages will grow up, and those parts of the walls and those castles would just disappear. They vanished inside the cities and the villages. We have many examples of that in Portugal and probably around Europe, but I'm talking what I know and what I've seen. And we have places where just we have a tower, we have just a part of a wall, we have some portals. Sometimes we just have the name of the portal, of the name of the castle, something, because they were observed by the growth of the city. Another example, I will show a picture. Torres Novas, it has a castle also, and to the north the castle has a cliff with there's a river, a natural defense, which it was the river with a cliff. To the south side there was the hill, and the city grew from that side. And with time the city went growing, and the walls, they had to build other walls, and there's a part of the wall of the one of the older walls, and we can see clearly the wall was cut. There's a road, and there's remainings of the foundations of the rest of the wall that have been discovered now. They are covered with other things, so we can see clearly see that transformation of the castles and the cities. And so many of those castles, they are not now as they were before, complete structure. They are just parts of the structure. And that is one of the reasons why I call this a fake castle, because I took their idea of a part of the castle. I would love to have a big castle around here, but didn't have the room. So what I did, I took that idea of the part of the castle. I only basically have a tower and a part of a portal and a wall. And it's enough, because it's not the entire castle, it's the idea of a castle that suffered through time. And that is my concept of the fake castle, and it's based off the reality that we have here in Portugal. Part 2 of the castle, the fake castle. Why a fake castle? I'm a guy who likes to find easy solutions and simple solutions to make things. On my layout, the castle is a bit on the back. It's not here in the front of the layout, it's right over there. So it's not close to the eyes. The level of and we are talking about HO scale, so the level of detail that I was aiming for, and I think I achieved it, allowed me to use a simple technique. To build a castle I used something cheap and easy to get, which is foam, styrofoam. And why? It's very easy to work with, it's cheap, it's easy to get, it has some texture. It's not that totally clean surface because of the small bubbles it has. That texture. And for the level of detail that I was aiming, I thought this was enough. So I used 1 centimeter thickness of foam. Now the thickness, it gives us about 90 centimeters. It's not 100% realistic, but I based it on some photographs that I took and some castles that I saw. So I think it's not 100% realistic, but I think it can be used. I used 1 centimeter thickness foam, in which I cut the battlements of the wall 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, so small squares. Anyway, I build a wall with the battlements on the 1 centimeter thickness foam, and then I cut another one slightly lower with 1 less centimeter, in which I made the passing part from the corner, the balcony for the people to pass, and on that one I carved the the, the steps with a small file. I used for the tower the same thing. I used 1 centimeter foam sheet to build the walls. Then I carved them on a 45-degree angle to glue them, and on the inside put a square part to build to attach them together. So it's a very simple thing. That's it. On the base of the tower, I used 2 centimeter foam to give appearance of solid rock that would be in the place. It would be carved directly. I can show examples of that. A tower in a place called Dornes in the center of Portugal, and there is a tower, medieval tower, that is set on a massive stone base that was probably carved, and then the tower was built on top of that. Another reference that I used for this. Okay, so basically this was the whole thing. After that, I painted it with the ground color that I usually use on my layout. It's a wall paint with a matte finish. It's not shiny. I painted all with that, on not too thick, so that I would not lose the texture of the foam, the small balls. And then I weathered it and put a bit of brown and a bit of gray and some black wash, all of that stuff, nothing fancy, to give it a kind of a weathered look. But basically that was it, very simple. On the tower and on the walls, with a tool that came from my Fowler car system set, the tool for the plaster. Has the kind of a blade on with the back of that blade. I I carved some lines on the walls to give it a kind of a raw aspect. So it's not 100% realistic, but I think it works to give the idea of a castle, of a medieval castle, 12th, 13th century, with a very raw aspect. And considering it's on the back of the layout, honestly, personally, I think it works. Another thing I used as a reference, those medieval castles and those towers with very straight lines, very raw building, no decoration, no things, just straight lines. That was my reference. And so I didn't. Why I'm calling this, and the second reason why I say this is a fake castle, because I wasn't drawing the bricks and the stones one by one. So I took the texture of the foam, I gave it some cuts, make some grooves to give the raw aspect, and that was it. Didn't do anything, and then painted it. And I think it works. Like many modelers say, it's the idea, it's fooling the eye, not just the eye. Our brain is trained to perceive some things in a certain way if we give him the right information. And that's what I try to do here. So it's not a 100% realistic piece, but something that we can see and look and perceive what is there. So this is how I build a fake castle, and this is why I built a fake castle. So it's not just the entire castle with all the details. It's a piece that reminds us of the castles and of the past, and the fact that they were um, changing through the years, some of them thousands of years, more than 1,000 years, and bring that memory and that idea to the layout, and somehow make my own tribute to the history of my country and the people of my country and the good things we have here, and not only on the rest of Europe. I hope you liked it. I hope it's not was not too long. And so that's it. Feel free to comment, and if you want to give it a thumbs up, I will appreciate it. And subscribe my channel, why not? I'll try to keep posting stuff like this, crazy and I hope interesting stuff. So, see ya.